There we are. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's installment of Booktube Live. Yay! I am here with James Chatham, or is it Chatham?
No one will ever know.
Oh, damn
it's
it.
Chatham.
Is it?
The H is silent, which is
Oh
weird.
my God! Me and Zoe were both wrong then. We had a bet going. Chatham, huh?
I guess that means that I get the money.
I guess. Although we don't bet with money, because what's mine is mine, and what's hers is mine.
Fair.
Alright. Well, that put a damper on this whole fucking show. Okay, so you were just telling me that you were driving for 9 hours. Where were you coming from, and where were you going?
So I was leaving college. I go to school in Middle Tennessee. It's like near Nashville. It's a really cool like audio production school, and was coming home to Louisiana for the summer. So it's a 500 something mile drive, which is a big drive.
Wow. Hello, Dane. Dane can't stay too long, he says.
Oh, no.
So what are you studying in school?
It's like audio production, so like it's sort of a mix of like studio stuff and like live sound. Like I think the degree is like recording industry with a concentration in audio production, but it's that kind of like music technology sort of thing.
Nice. And what are you hoping to do?
I really like the live sound part of it, like being in the front of house or like a stagehand. So hopefully I'll be able to like pursue that, because that's really kind of where my passion lies. But I just want a job, honestly.
Nice. And you, when you are posting photos in the studio, is that you recording, or are you recording other people?
It's usually me recording other people.
So are you in a band or anything like that?
I am recently. We're actually planning to record our first release like over the summer, so I'll drive back up to Nashville for a couple days to record my parts. It's like a hardcore band. Should be cool.
Hardcore, you said?
Yeah.
Nice. So you got all that Nashville country influence? Yeah?
Oh, of course. Definitely. It's like country breakdowns everywhere.
Got a little dobro in the middle of that. That's cool. So yeah, I wanted to talk to you about your channel, like what you're into reading, and then I'm gonna pick your brain about metal and vinyl in a little bit, because I've been wanting to pick someone's brain about that. Okay, so in the book department, you read a lot of like fantasy and like high fantasy and stuff like that, correct?
Right, that's like where my I guess love lies, like kind of like Tolkien kind of stuff.
How did you get into that?
Probably through like one of the books that got me like way into reading was The Hobbit, like when I was real young. So that just kind of started it and planted the seed, and I just kind of kept reading that kind of stuff throughout life, I guess.
Who was the first non-Tolkien author that you started following very closely?
Let me think. So I read a lot of like, actually, no, there was this YA author, her name's Cinda Williams-Chima, and I read like pretty much all of her books right after like getting into Lord of the Rings and stuff. So probably her, though I've fallen off the new series because I'm terrible.
Right on. And who's your favorite right now?
That's tough. I'm really liking what N.K. Jemisin is doing, especially with her newest trilogy that she just finished. That was fantastic. I'm also really into like Ken Liu. I can't think of the name of the series. Dandelion Dynasty series. The first two books of that are just phenomenal.
Nice. Zoe has been telling me all week that I have to tell you that she's reading The Vor right now.
Yeah.
And,
yes, that one's so weird, but it's so good.
have you read the next book?
I have yet to read the next book.
I really like the cover of the first book, and then feel like they've kind of dropped the ball on the next cover. And then I think the third one is that out yet?
I don't think so. I think it was like 5 years in between the first two, so who knows?
I think
when the third one's gonna come out.
I might be completely crazy, but I think I saw a cover reveal or something for it, and I was still bummed out. Oh, if my dogs start barking, damn it. I need to come up with a better situation for doing this, because between other people living here and me having animals, this is awkward. So what was that? Yeah?
Oh, I don't even remember.
Okay. So
I did just find the cover of the third Vor book, which actually comes out in like 2 weeks. I didn't realize that.
Oh, wow.
But it's just like a ball of eyeballs, so I'm not too impressed.
Yeah. Yeah, and the picture from the second one, I always forget what that is, but it's like a William Blake, I think. But I love that picture. But I think it looks weird on the book. But anyway, I'm into looking at things and having that impress me. So anyhow, so your channel, how long have you had your channel?
3, maybe 4 years. I don't even know at this point. It's been a while. I started it I think into my junior year of high school. So that's about 4 years this summer, probably.
Have you had any big absences?
I have. My first, pretty much the first semester of college, I pretty much didn't do anything for 2 months. But I've tried to keep consistent. This last semester, I've been kind of falling off the wagon again, just because there's so much going on that semester. But I'm trying to get back to a consistent schedule.
Yeah. How have you changed as a reader over the last 3 or 4 years since you've been doing this?
I think I read more critically, and I've also started annotating books way more. I used to try to keep my books in pristine condition, but I've started underlining and writing notes and stuff, and trying to craft a better review, because I've always liked doing reviews and I keep not doing them. So I'm trying to push myself to do that more, especially over the summer when I have more time to read and analyze stuff.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with that, because most of my reviews are, oh my god, this was so awesome! And that's about as much as I could say about something. And I keep thinking I need to be a little bit more critical, but at the same time, I don't want to not be me. Because when I get excited about something, I get so excited that I'm ready to vomit praise. Probably when I shouldn't be praising it that much, but I just get too excited.
I feel you. I do that too sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially right after finishing a really good book. If I do a review the day I finish it, it's just going to be gushing good praise. So I have to give it a week and then let it settle a little bit.
That's so funny. If I do a review right afterwards, I'm super excited. But if I let it go longer than a day or two, I'll get to the point where I'm yeah, that book wasn't that good at all. I'm not going to do a review about it. I'm just going to say bad stuff. I don't even know what I'm excited about anymore. So there has to be a middle ground that you grab onto, because I can't. If I wait too long, I'm over it. Because I get all excited about what I'm reading next. Because honestly, if I'm reading something and it's not exciting me right away, or within the first 50 pages or something like that, I'm so not interested anymore, and I'll just completely lose focus. Do you have anything like that where when do you DNF? What's your cutoff there?
I think it just really depends. I actually think it kind of depends on genre, because I'm usually willing to give maybe a literary book or a historical fiction more time than like a fantasy or science fiction book, especially if I'm going into that like fantasy book looking for something fun and it's just like fucking boring. I'm just gonna like put it down after 50 pages and like sell it. But sometimes I'll give it longer. It really just depends on the book and my mood. I don't know. It's just a mood thing.
Final Blow Joe just said, I'm not used to so much facial hair in my Booktube videos. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here and you can see both of these beautiful ears. I think Matt has me beat, but I'm working on it.
But I'm wearing a dark shirt, so you can't really see. I could just be like that, so that's fine. With your like high fantasy and stuff like that, how critical are you of like magic systems used in the books?
I think that also kind of depends on like the way they build it. Like if a book is trying to like really make rules, like for example like Brandon Sanderson or something, I'm almost more critical of that than like if they're kind of leaving it up to your interpretation. Because like if you leave your magic system vague, I'm more forgiving of like you doing something weird that's never happened before. But if you explain it to the point like it's like a math thing, then if you break that, I'm way more critical of like that consistency. So I think I prefer like leaving it more open, kind of like you know in the Lord of the Rings, you don't know what the fuck the magic does, and that's cool.
Do you feel like more complicated magic systems are kind of more the norm now?
I think so. That does tend to be the way, especially like with, as I mentioned before, Brandon Sanderson. He's so successful, and people are trying to sort of mimic that a little bit, and I think that's kind of what that might come from.
Yeah. Huh. I try not to think about it too much because I don't read a ton of fantasy, but I have noticed when I was going through what books I read last year, and what books I liked and what I DNF'd and stuff like that, that there was actually more fantasy in there than I thought there would be. And I personally prefer more story than someone telling me how something's built and put together kind of thing. But I guess there are authors, and Sanderson's probably one, I'm guessing, that can explain a magic system while building a character, so it doesn't just feel like an info dump.
Yeah, I feel like in his like newer books, he does that more like effectively, and he's better at balancing that. Because like reading like Elantris from Mistborn, his first few books, there's definitely more of an info dump aspect to that. So it's really interesting kind of seeing him like be able to craft these different magic systems, like, making it interesting without like just bashing you over the head with all these rules and stuff.
Yeah. There he goes. So, if anyone has any questions that are book related, you could throw them in now. I am going to be asking all sorts of stuff. So, go ahead and do that, folks. Now, I have some very serious questions to ask you about. Now, which wave of black metal do you prefer?
That's a good question. I feel like the wave that came after like the main like first group, like after Darkthrone and Mayhem, but like before like the whole like Cascadian thing, so like Emperor and that kind of stuff is probably my favorite.
Okay, so we're talking like late 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah, that's probably like the sweet spot for
me. Okay, now how do you feel about like a lot of those like first wave like Venom, Bathory, bands of that ilk? I guess Mayhem kind of fits in there too a little bit because of Death Crush or whatever, but do you think that those bands are overlooked, or do you think they get too much praise?
I think Bathory is like worthy of the praise they get because they really sort of were. I guess you could argue that they're almost like the first black metal band, because I honestly don't see them as black metal. They're more thrash, but they have like they're more influenced, I guess, the subculture with like the title of their album, black metal, and that kind of stuff. But I do think Bathory, especially, is like really worth the praise, because they sort of almost made two different genres with their like first early black metal stuff, and then they go into the Viking metal, like melodic death metal stuff, like later in their career. So I think they're definitely worth the.
Do you like the Viking stuff more?
I think I prefer like the black metal stuff, just because it's more raw and like in your face.
Okay, that's good. That sounds good there. What about like their influence on, or not their influence, but like the bands that came out of Germany around that same time, like Sodom and Creator and the, what do you call it, the tectonic German metal. Are you into that at all?
I like some of it. Like that kind of like goes into thrash, which really isn't like my favorite thing, but I really respect those early bands like Creator, Exodus, though I don't think they're from Germany. But that kind of stuff is really cool. Like there's really fast-paced, like in-your-face stuff, and I really like the influence from them on like newer bands. Like Gatecreeper is super influenced by that. And that's one of my favorite like modern metal bands. So it's really cool, like seeing sort of the progression of the genre.
Yeah, because like I really like when I find like their demos online and stuff, like on YouTube and everything like that. But the more polished those albums get, I think the weirder they sound. But that just might be a preference for me. Okay, so now let's move into second wave here, because this is what I really enjoy and got hooked on all this stuff with. So, you got your Dark Throne and Immortal and Burzum and Mayhem and all your Norwegian stuff.
Right.
Did you read, what's that book called? Chaos something? How come I can't think of it?
I think it's Lords of Chaos.
Lords of Chaos, yeah. Did you read that?
I never read it, but I've been meaning to get my hands on a copy of it, just because I'm super curious about like how that, I guess, movement sort of like built up.
It is really kind of interesting, but there's some kind of like Jerry Springerish elements in there that feels kind of forced, but it's a good read for sure. I keep trying to find people who've read it. I keep pushing people to read it. No one reads it. Doesn't anyone want to read about frickin' Norwegian church burning? What the hell is wrong with everybody? Jesus Christ.
Like, that's exactly what I'm reading about.
Are you a bigger fan of like death metal than all the black metal stuff?
I think I like, on the whole, like prefer listening to black metal over death metal, but there's a lot of more, I guess, variety in death metal, which makes it, I guess, cooler to listen to. And sometimes I'll tend to go towards that side of the spectrum, just because sometimes I want like something like weird and proggy, that kind of stuff.
Are you subscribed to the Arkham Reporter?
I don't think so.
He does like basically all H.P. Lovecraft stuff. And he put up a video a couple days ago of bands that are influenced by H.P. Lovecraft. And dude, I found a ton of bands I've never heard of before. And some of them sound amazing. So I have to go back to that video. If anyone gives a shit, go check out this video. But he makes some great Lovecraft videos. But there are so many awesome bands on there that like I was like, fucking hell. Okay. So what are some of your favorite bands from that early 2000 era?
Definitely, like, Emperor is my number one. They're like my favorite black metal band, like, of all waves.
Yeah.
Then I also really like Mayhem and Dark Throne. I'm honestly not as huge on Burzum. Like, I enjoy them. Like, I really like Philosophy, but some of their other stuff is just
that's
a bit much for me.
I like
And
the
I kind of
first
think
one and that and Philosophy one.
yeah, I think they get a bit. I feel like they're a bit overrated, just because
Yeah.
like Fart and all this shit. Now
For
that's why
sure.
people listen to them.
Yeah.
But I feel like of like the main three, Mayhem is probably my favorite.
Yeah, I really like Death Crush and the Mysterious. Can't ever say it right. And I'm totally pissed because they were just on tour playing that album front to back, and I didn't get to go, and I'm totally irritated about that. That would have been
really
fun.
Sucks. I think they were in Nashville like at the end of last year. I can't remember who they were touring for. I think it was like with Inquisition, but I decided to go see Cannibal Corpse instead and could only afford
Damn it! Okay, what do you think of the new Cannibal Corpse album, or the one that came out in the fall?
It's good. I mean, honestly, I don't really listen to them a ton, like their records a lot, because they all kind of sound the same. But I always really have a good time listening.
Yeah.
I thought that one was really good.
Skeletal Domain, I thought, was like the best thing they've done in the last like 10 years or whatever. But anyhow, so okay, I know this is like killing everyone watching this, that we're just like geeking out on this. Real quick, I love those 3 Dark Throne albums, the 3, you know, Under a Funeral Moon and Blaze in the Northern Sky and Transylvanian Hunger. And there's only like a couple that I like in between there and the end, or not the end, but their latest one. But their latest one wasn't bad. I was like kind of surprised. The Arctic Thunder one, I think it's called.
Yeah, that one was kind of like almost like black and roll, which I thought was interesting. And yeah, I thought it was a really good fit for this song. I was kind of like surprised by it. Honestly.
I was totally surprised. Like I got it as like not a joke, but just like, okay, I have to get this because like I have all the other ones and I have to whatever. And I was just surprised. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, Emperor, Nightshade Eclipse or whatever. I love that. Do you like Anthems? Oh, you like that first one?
Yeah, Anthems is great too. Like those are both like perfect albums for me.
Yeah.
I used to have copies of them on vinyl, but then like I realized when I was playing them, like they're really shitty pressings.
Yeah.
So I sold them, and I really need to get like original pressings of both of those. But that's a lot of money.
Well, let's talk about vinyl here, because that's another thing I wanted to pick your brain about. So, you are a collector, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I used to get records because they would have them at the store I would go to, kind of thing. But like I never did it as like a collector. I just got it because I could get it. So, what are things that you need to look for, especially when you're buying used records?
Definitely, like the first thing I do if it's a used record is like take out the record and like make sure there's no scratches or like excessive dust. Like if there's like just a film of dust on the record, it's fine because you can clean it off. But like if there's any scratches or like especially like chips, sometimes scratches will play fine, and if it's like $5 or something, I'll get it anyway. But if there's like actual like physical chips in the vinyl, then I won't even grab it. I'm not personally too like fussed about if the sleeve's in great condition because I have like outer sleeves I use to protect it anyway. But it's just really making sure like the record itself is in good enough condition that I'll be fine playing it.
Now, when you're buying stuff online, is it just like you just have to trust that everything's fine?
Yeah, pretty much, especially like through Discogs because they don't offer pictures usually. It's easier on eBay because usually they'll, like, if you ask for a picture of the record itself, they'll send that. But on Discogs, it's a bit more of a, I guess, shot in the dark.
Have you been screwed like that before?
I haven't yet, so fingers crossed it won't happen.
Oh yeah,
but
touch wood,
eventually
man.
It probably will.
What record did you find that you were so excited about, and then you pulled it out, and the record itself was all fucked up, and you didn't get it?
Oh, I know exactly the store this was at. This was at Grammys in Nashville, which is like, it's like the main record store in Nashville, and it was like, I was in the metal section because they have a great metal
metal section. I pulled out this copy of Cynic's Focus, which is like one of my favorite like tech death albums of all time. And then I just opened it, and like there was like a fucking like stain on it. It was just awful, and I'm so bummed.
That's the worst, man. Ugh. So, what have you got recently that you're really excited about?
I went to a show like I think it was Tuesday night. It was Turnstile and Touche Amore, and I got their album Is Survived By, which is like my favorite album by them. And like the icing on the cake was like once I bought that after their set, like my friend that I was there with came up to me and had a sheet of paper in his hand and was like, "Here, I got you the set list." So it was just that was awesome.
Oh, nice. What's the prize of your collection?
Probably my copy of the Second Stage Turbine Blade by Cody Cambria. I dropped way too much money on that, but it's like my favorite album by them, and it's such a cool pressing that I'm so happy to have that.
Do you, for the people who don't know, what is the difference when a record says 180 gram on it?
It's just like much heavier, and that usually it means that it'll deteriorate less quickly. Like when you're playing it just from like standard playing, like wear from the needle, so you get more life out of it, and it's just more sturdy.
Have you worn a record out?
I haven't yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if like I have this Alcest record that I listen to like nonstop, so I wouldn't be surprised if like in another year that thing is just like done.
Nice. Okay, I'm gonna check the comments here. I noticed that you were able to kind of throw some in there. I'm still really bad at this. Let's see. Oh, we got some hate on Varg here. That's okay. Eric Peterson, Viking metal or pirate metal?
Definitely Viking metal, because pirate metal is one band and I don't really like them that much, so I'm going to stick with my Monomarth and Bathory.
How is your one readathon to rule them all reading going?
Not well, because right now the only book I'm really reading is Americana, and it's not fantasy. Though I'm planning to finally start the new Sanderson for that readathon tonight. I just have to dig it out of the box, and it's at the very bottom. So I'm just waiting until I get through it, like organizing my books, which is what I've been working through all day. So by tonight, I'll finally start my first book for the readathon that's almost halfway over.
I've had a copy on my shelf for almost 20 years, still haven't gotten to it. I think they're talking about Lords of Chaos. I've always wanted to read Lords of Chaos. Maybe I'll get to that soon. Words Everywhere says, I feel like Burzum gets too much attention simply because of a cult of personality around Varg. Yeah, he kind of...
Definitely agree.
Yeah, that... Especially with the shit he made in prison, it is, like, unlistenable. No, it's so bad. But I really, really, really do. I used to do a podcast about black metal, actually.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
And I took Ia, Lord of the Depths, off the first Burzum album, and I played it on top of Overkill by Motorhead, because it starts off with that double bass, it's the exact same thing, and I played them on top of each other, and it was hysterical, and I had so much fun. Wow, I am kind of nerdy. That was exciting for me. Okay, James, what is your opinion of Cynic's most recent stuff?
I liked Kindly Bent to Frias, like, well enough. Like, I think their move into a lighter sound is working well. Pretty much, like, they're doing the Opeth thing where they used to be heavy and now they're not as heavy, but instead of being, like, shit, they're good. The new single was really good, too. I really liked Humanoid. That has me really excited for any, like, new material they do in the future.
Let me see. By the way, James, Psy is releasing a new album this year, Air to Despair. Waiting for that so anxiously. Also, a band recommendation, Bloodstained Child. Is Psy the Japanese band?
Yeah, they're like sort of like almost like avant-garde black metal. They're really cool.
Yeah, no, they're super cool. Was that the same band? And then do you know that what was that? It's a girl band from Japan. Oh my god, the singer is with the old singer of Mayhem.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the
It
name
starts
of it.
with a G. God, I'm such a dick. Okay, whatever. If someone in the comments knows what I'm talking about, throw that in. What about Baratherum? From Finland, I think. Have you heard them?
I don't think so.
They have some cool... Again, their demos are better than their releases, I think.
Yeah. It's kind of weird when bands are like that. Like, I feel that way about, like, Cynic and, like, Avigor, the black metal band Avigor. Like, their first demo is, like, the best thing they've ever done.
No, I feel like I missed the boat on, like, Opeth and, Demu and, oh my gosh, something Flames.
In
Flames, and then there was one that was called, like, At something.
That's At the Gates.
At the Gates. God, I'm so glad you know what the fuck I'm talking about. I feel like I just completely missed the boat on, like, that whole era. And I'm not into it. Out of those bands, like, if someone was gonna try to get into it, what do you think they should look for?
I think if we're talking like that Gothenburg style, like melodic death metal, like In Flames, At the Gates, Dark Tranquility, like those are the big three.
Yeah.
I feel like shit, I can't think of the album name. God. The Red in the Sky is Ours by At the Gates is a good one to get into if you're more into like the heavier side of music. Like if you're already into black metal, like straight up death metal, that would probably be a good one to start with. And then Colony by In Flames if you're into more like the melodic side of like, I guess, just regular heavy metal.
Yeah. What is it? Bloodbath? Is that the other band that the singer from Opeth does?
Yeah.
That
I
I liked.
Anymore, but...
Well, yeah. That was I didn't mind that. I thought that was okay. But yeah, just nerding out a little bit. So, like, right? What about Watain? Are you into that at all?
I like their early material. I was really disappointed by the new album. Like a lot of their recent stuff is just kind of bored me, honestly.
Sworn to the Dark is like one of the best albums of all time.
That one's good. That one's great. Yeah.
I really, really like that. But yeah, like what was it? Wild Gift or something like that, or The Wild Hunt. Wild Gift's an X album.
I reviewed it, but I don't remember.
I just couldn't get into it. Okay, so right now, bands that are active right now, top 5, go.
Top 5, like any genre?
Any genre.
Put me on the spot. The Deer Hunter is number 1, always. Coheed and Cambria. Let me think. Steven Wilson. God, this is hard. There's so many good bands. Hit Me is one that I've really been loving a lot. They're sort of newer, but they're just like really cool experimental, like hard rock stuff. And then probably Between the Buried and Me, because everything they've done is just phenomenal.
Right on. Gallhammer was the name of that band I was talking about.
Oh yeah, I knew it started with a G, but I couldn't think of the rest of the letters.
Are there any books coming out that you're excited about?
There's the new, it's the sequel to The Traitor by Cormorant by Seth Dickinson that comes out, I can't remember what month, but it's sometime in the fall, and like that's one I've been looking forward to ever since finishing the first one, because it's just so cool. trying to think of what else is coming out soon. I'm kind of totally behind with like new stuff. But, like that one's definitely the top of my list. Oh, there's a new J.Y. Yang novella. I can't remember if it's dropped yet or if it's about to drop. But the first two in that series were also phenomenal.
I have a question here from On the Stoop. Were you reluctant to put up videos about music in your vinyl collection on a channel predominantly dedicated to books?
I think I was at first, especially like when I started doing like these music recaps and they weren't really getting many views. But then I kind of realized I still just really like making them, and like they have found like a smaller audience, and that kind of like niche audience is cool to like talk about music with. So I feel like that kind of got me past that a little bit.
Yeah. And then Words Everywhere says, do you play instruments? Make music, James. What do you play?
I do. I play guitar mostly. A little bit of bass, but I don't own one, so I can't really practice it. But yeah, guitar is like my passion. I just love playing guitar a lot.
Right on. What do you have?
I have, right beside me, I have this lovely PRS 7-string I was playing earlier. And then I also have like the 6-string version of this, but it's got a tremolo. Those are like my main two like workhorse guitars that do pretty much everything. And then I have, oh, that's about to fall over. Stop. Better. I have a Jackson Kelly, which is pretty awesome, but it has a Floyd Rose, and I'm not the biggest fan of those bridges because they're such a pain in the ass to like change strings.
Definitely.
And then I also have a couple acoustics, like a beater guitar that's like a really crappy like Strat knockoff, and then I also have an 8-string, but I'm probably going to sell that because I really never play it. That's just a bit too much for me.
Yeah, I downgraded a bunch of my stuff. I had too much stuff. I had Thomas Swing Star kit. I had Fender Jazz Bass, and then like 3 junky Fenders, and then my BC Rich Warlock, and then I had my I had a Samick 12-string acoustic, and I got rid of that too. So now I just have my BC Rich and my I have a Dean Flying V bass, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
It's nice for recording at home because it just sits perfectly. I almost want to get a Dean V guitar because I don't like it on my lap like that. The Warlock, that is. So you're in a hardcore band now. So, what influences are from that, or make that?
This one's pretty interesting. Like, I haven't really written most of the stuff. A lot of it was like from the other guitarists who've mostly written all this stuff. But it seems like sort of influenced by both early hardcore and then like early 2000s metalcore. Like before metalcore like moved to like the Devil Wears Prada and stuff, like the heavier stuff. Which, I mean, no offense to like the mid 2000s metalcore, because I love that too, because that's like a nostalgia thing for me. But it's like more like Zao and that kind of stuff.
Oh,
it's
wow.
It's really interesting kind of sound.
I saw them in 96. It was crazy. I thought they were nuts because the drummer had his drum kit sideways and was like at the front of the stage. And I'm like, wow, that's so crazy. God, it's such a dorky thing. Yeah. Have you heard the Zach De La Rocha Inside Out album?
I think so.
That is one of the best hardcore albums of all time. Like, hands down, dude. Like, Revelation Records. It is so flippin' good. That and the Gorilla Biscuits EP that ended up having like 20 songs.
So good.
Yeah, you heard that? Oh my god, I love that. That is amazing. But yeah, like that's some fun stuff. And then like the early Uniform Choice demos are really good. But when it got like super metal and he got really weird, I went off of them at that point. But yeah. Wow. We just talked about old hardcore. Holy shit, I wasn't expecting that at all. Some Judge and some Mouthpiece and Strife. And Ignite. I used to see Ignite. I've seen them a couple times. They were a lot of fun. Yeah, those shows were very violent.
That's the best kind.
Yeah, very, very. There was always like there was this group in Huntington Beach called the Monster Crew, a straight edge gang, and they would try to murder people all the time. So good stuff. Good,
that's very fun.
Good fun shows. Is there a big hardcore scene in Nashville?
There actually is, which I was very surprised by. Like, that's pretty much how I got into hardcore, was my friends taking me to some shows. Like, my friend, and actually, like, half of the members of this band have been, like, they had a previous band that recently broke up, but, like, one of their shows was, like, the first time, like, I had ever, like, seen a hardcore band, so that was really cool, and that kind of, like, got me into the genre as a whole. And there's just there's just a really, like, a lot of really cool bands coming out of that area in, like, Atlanta, which is really cool to see that grow.
When do you think hardcore kind of stopped being so punk influenced and more metal influenced? I've been trying to figure that out. Yeah.
That's a good question. I'm trying to think, like, the bands that kind of move that forward. I guess when a lot of, like, the mathcore and, like, again, going back to the metalcore scene kind of, like, merged with hardcore, like the Chariot and that kind of stuff. I think when they started coming around, a lot of hardcore bands, like, saw that and tried to include that in their style.
Yeah.
I think that's when you get a lot of more metal-influenced hardcore bands starting to come in.
Yeah. I've been listening to a ton of Rollins era Black Flag, which I would sometimes listen to, but not. I always preferred, like, the more punky stuff. But lately I've just been listening to it so much, and I think a lot of it too was I heard. Are you familiar with Leviathan?
Yeah.
Leviathan did a cover of My War that was released in some magazine. I can't remember what it was, on, like, one of those flexi vinyls.
Maybe Kerrang?
Maybe. I don't know, but dude, it is such a, like, that song fits, like, is so perfect for black metal. It's like fucking I never would have thought it, but yeah, it's great. It's if you haven't heard it, check that out.
Yeah, I didn't realize they covered that, so I'll listen to that right after this.
I think metal took over hardcore when the 90s Roadrunner band started to break out. I take it back. I think it was when Metallica started covering hardcore Misfits stuff. But that's 90s Roadrunner NYC stuff. Yeah, for sure. I can see that. That's Eric Peterson. That guy is brilliant. Yeah, Roadrunner did a lot of good things and a lot of weird things. But yeah, I'm trying to think if... I'm trying to remember what year that Inside Out album came out. I think it was 91, or maybe it was 90. Because the first Rage album probably came out in, like, 92, so it had to have been a time before that. But yeah, that was probably, like, one of the first hardcore albums I heard that had a lot of, like, muted, like, chung 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 kind of open drop D tuning and stuff like that. What about vocal fry stuff? You into that at all?
I think it's cool, like, people that can really do it super well, but I'm not good at it at all.
Have you heard, I think it's Demolich, or Demolick, or something like that?
Their vocals are so weird, but it fits the style so well.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name of the album off the top of my head, but that's one of my favorite, like, tech death albums, like, ever.
Oh my gosh. This is probably a demo too. It's like called, like, 4 something something from them. God, my brain is like shit. Anyway, the problem is that live that doesn't sound amazing. It sounds really good recorded, but it's like not the band, but the vocal style.
Yeah.
Like it's really kind of shit. What was that other band? Not Suffocation. Fucking. Oh well. I seem to have shot my load as it comes to coming up with music stuff to talk about here. Oh, is it? No, Immolation.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen them live?
I haven't, though. I really want to. Like, I've not seen a ton of metal live.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it, like, sort of skips over Nashville, which was one that Chatham show was really cool. That it came to Nashville of all places, even though the venue was lame that night.
How far are you from that Maryland Death Fest that they have every year?
Not actually sure. I have to look that up.
Because Maryland's like what? Like, you would have to go through D.C., right, to get to Maryland from where you are?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. I would like to go to that one time. But getting to Maryland for a metal show seems a little less likely to happen than me trying to figure out a way to get down a mountain to a fucking metal show.
Yeah, it's a bit longer drive.
Yeah.
I really wish I could like have the funds to go to This Is Hardcore in Philly over the summer, because I have a friend that lives in Delaware that always goes and always says how fun it is, but that's a long way.
Is there a list of are they bringing any bands back together for it or anything like that?
I haven't seen any this year. Let me look at the lineup real quick. My internet will let it load.
Have you heard of a band called Morgian?
I don't think so. I don't recognize the name.
They were on Relapse, I guess. The guitar player and the bass player... No, the guitar player... Both guitar players from that band were the guitar player and bass player in my band Creeperson. But, like, in the, like, mid to late 90s, Morgian did a lot of... They were kind of like a doomy metal kind of band.
Nice. I love doom a lot. Like, that's another one of my favorite, like, subgenres, I guess.
Who were some good doom bands that you're listening to?
I'm listening to a lot of, like, newer stuff recently. Though my favorite probably of all time is the death doom band Disembowelment. They've only done like a couple albums, but both of them are just fantastic. It's like the heaviest shit you'll ever hear.
Yeah. I was, God, I can't even think of the name. Reverend... Are you fucking kidding me? Maybe I'm having early onset brain damage. Reverend... I keep wanting to say Horton Heat, and that's not it at all. Reverend
Bizarre?
Yes! Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah. I used to listen to them a lot. So
They're
much
really
so...
cool. I like them a lot.
I used to listen to them so much so that I can't remember their name. And are you into like Black Dahlia Murder and Cattle Decapitation and all those guys?
I like them a lot. I think Travis Ryan from Cattle Decapitation is like the best vocals of like any like death metal band right now. They're just so like badass.
Yeah, I got to give them another try. I think I get when a band has kind of a large catalog plus a lot of like little special things that they've done. Because if you go on YouTube, you could find like tapes, like demo tapes, and like just like B-sides and all this shit from bands. And when I start listening to a band, I want to listen to everything they've ever done. and so I'll just sit there and like listen to everything, and then I get all overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So I need to quit doing that, especially with that Psy band, because
Yeah, they have a lot of it. I think it's like 8 albums now or something like that.
I think
Maybe even more.
yeah, I think there's more. But yeah, there's a couple bands like that, like Macabre, I think.
Yeah, they have a lot.
And I was just like getting totally overwhelmed with that kind of shit. Okay, let me see what anyone else has to say. Anything else? Okay, so are you doing anything over the next couple months with your channel that you're kind of planning? Like, do you have any? Because I heard you were doing that one readathon. Is there anything else coming up that you're gonna try to do?
Not really like events-wise, like this readathon. I was just asked by Ashley to like host it, or said yes because the readathon named after Lord of the Rings. Yes, please. But I think my main goal over the summer is just to get back to some consistency. I'll probably like push out a lot of guitar covers on the other channel again because I got to keep my chops up. But in terms of like new kinds of content, I don't think I really have much planned. I just like to do more reviews, like I mentioned before, because I keep ignoring those.
Yeah. Well, right on. Is there anywhere online people could find you if they haven't already jumped on you?
Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all of that is all at James Chatham. Chatham is spelled Chatham. And then also you can join the Booktube Discord server, which is seeing like a spike of activity recently, which I'm really liking.
I just saw that today.
Yeah, a couple people joined. I think it was Sylvia from Wish Fulfillment joined and was like tweeting it everywhere. Which
yeah.
Seeing more people join that is always cool. It's always linked under any video I do, so if you want to find it, just go to one of my videos and like click in the description. It's a really fun place.
Right on. Yeah, I'm excited about that. Well, right on, man. Thank you so much for hanging out, and thanks everyone for hanging out and watching. So until next time, everybody. Oh, next week, I will have a book olive on. So that will be a thing that happens here. So
that's exciting. I'll have to make sure to tune in for that.
All right. Take care, everybody.